On the City Council to order. Today is May 20th. The time is now 6 p.m. If you can all rise for our invocation. Heavenly Father, as we gather today, we are reminded of the significance of milestones and achievements. Just as our city students have worked tirelessly to reach the milestone of graduation, so too have we as leaders worked to build a brighter future for our community. May we, like our graduates, be open to new ideas and perspectives, and may our actions reflect the values of compassion, inclusivity, and progress. We pray for the wisdom to make decisions that will benefit all members of our community and the courage to lead with integrity and vision. Amen. If we stay standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Schofield.
Ramirez.
Present.
Velasquez.
Here.
Stoker. Ayala.
Here.
Ochoa. Here. Montoya.
Here.
Rizzo.
I'm here.
All right. Minutes of the previous meetings. I'd entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Citizen participation. Anyone for citizen participation for a non-agenda item? You have 5 minutes. Step up to the mic, state your name and your address for the record, and you will have your time. I see one gentleman walking up slowly. Going once, going twice. Okay. City manager search, unfinished business. Maureen, if you want to start off on that.
Sure. Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, no?
Speak into your microphone, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now. Okay. We finally got the link up for the, there's a JOT form. It's just a platform to use as a way to access or to gather survey data. That QR code and the link have been out on the city's website through the Facebook page, and I think other people have been posting it as well. As of this morning, we had 34 responses, and I think 2 more have come in since then. I would like to have a lot more. Any way you can push it out. Every computer, every person can do one response, so you can't fill it up from one computer. But I didn't read them closely, but it does look like the input we're getting so far is pretty robust and helpful. So, and that all of that information, the instrument will be open until the end of the month, and then we'll compile it into a report and make that available to both the whole council and to the search committee on what the input from the citizens is for what they would like to see in the next city manager.
Thank you for that, Maureen. Just so everyone knows, the job posting is live. It is out there. There have been a few applications. I was just on the phone with SGR this past weekend. They want to schedule a call with the council sometime this week, so we'll throw some dates your guys' way to see what works for everybody. They could not do it tonight. They wanted to try for tonight while we were all here anyway, but they had other stuff come up, so they could not do that. So we'll see what works for everybody. There are applicants in right now, but we're still keeping it open. Just so everybody knows, you guys can apply whether you live in La Junta or if you live in Maine. That it's open nationwide. If you guys know somebody, or if it is you yourself that's interested, please apply. Mr. Lovato, who is on our search committee, is stepping aside. We wanted to keep the K through 12 voice there. So he selected Megan Binder. I said that would be okay. She is an assistant principal, and she agreed to step in into his role. She's excited to do that. And so we will be moving forward. As soon as we get more applicants and more information, we will share that with everybody. But that is where we are at as of today, and hopefully we get a lot more going here in the next week or so. Moving on to second reading, Mrs. Harris.
This is the second reading of an ordinance approving the final plat of lands of Senior Village subdivision. Once again, in order to avoid listening to me read the whole thing, we would need a motion to approve based on title alone.
Do we have a motion?
I will make the motion that we approve ordinance 1661, approving the final plat of lands of Senior Village subdivision by title only.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Last time I had asked about the location, and I went and drove by after and looked at what I thought it was, and then I looked up on property records, and it is the plot of land that's just across the street from the Casa del Sol, and it already has a sign up showing the lots and everything that are for sale. I think it's a little confusing because it shows that the city owns the land, so I guess I'm curious what the process is, just for my own education on when something like this happens. And I've had questions asked to me about if we annex land, like what does it go through the planning committee and then it comes to the council for approval. So if anybody's on the planning committee or just wants to talk about like what's the process when something comes forward and says this needs to be rezoned, replatted, whatever. How does that work?
It goes through planning commission. Anytime that they want to annex into the city, then it's sought through, looked at by our engineering, Martin and Amy. They make sure that everything is, we can do it first of all, and then if we can, how that's going to work, and then we have to push that through to council, and then it comes here. After planning commission approves it, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why that says it's owned by the city. That's not owned by the city to my knowledge at all. No.
Did someone say that it was owned by the
She
city?
said it was on
Well,
the sign.
I'm looking at the public records.
On the assessor?
Correct, from the assessor's website. It says it's in plat map, and the owner, okay, and the grantee is Senior Village Apartments LLC. So it's in plat map stage.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's not owned by the city, yes.
Okay. Perfect. If anybody wants to see where it is, I'll pass it around.
Any other discussion? If not, you have more discussion or no?
No.
Oh, if not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Mrs. Harris.
This is also the second reading of an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1573, known and cited as the requirement of a non-cigarette tobacco retailer license for certain retailers within the city of La Junta, and enacting a new ordinance to be known and cited as the Protection of Persons Under 21 Years of Age from Tobacco Act.
Does this also need a motion by title only?
Once we've had it for one,
Okay.
we should be able to go for all that we've done that day.
All right, then I'll make a motion to consider it for its second reading.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Mrs. Harris.
Next, in new business, it looks like there's an application for special events permit by Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Patrick Parish. Delbert De Leon is the event manager. The event is a community festival to be held July 12th and 13th from 4 to 11 at 202 Lincoln Avenue. They've applied for a permit, they've paid their fee, they've done their posting, and no one has an objection from the city, so it looks like it's all in order.
All right. Do I have a motion for that?
I motion to approve the special events permit.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Mrs. Harris.
Need to dig for this one. On the title, it's a resolution concerning the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District and Aurora's compliance with October 2003 intergovernmental agreement. So this resolution, this is a first reading. If you have had an opportunity to look at it, we invited Tom Siba to come and answer some questions about this. But what I'd like to make clear is the resolution that is being offered is not one that is asking the city of La Junta to take specific action. This is a resolution that is symbolic and is put forth to the city to make sure that the city has talked about these issues. Specifically, you may have gotten in your packets a news release that was given from the district to try to explain why the district believes it's useful for the city to bring a resolution against what has happened with the sale of water to Aurora. But if there are further questions, I'd be glad to answer some of them. And I see that Mr. Siba is here in the gallery as well if we wanted to talk with him further.
And just for clarification, Sonia and Mal are right. Is this a first reading or is this just the only reading of this?
Oh, this is the only reading.
Okay.
In other words, it's the first exposure that the council has had to this event.
Mr. Siba, if you want to just come up briefly. Is that my copy?
It will be. You do it well.
Give us the aerial view of what's going on with Aurora and Catton.
Yeah, what it boils down to is recently Aurora spent just over $80 million to secure a lot of land that is, the water rights are on the Catlin Canal, one of the most senior canals, of course, down in this area. What their intent to do is to transfer that water for their consumptive use no more than 3 times out of every 10 years. This is different from the way that they've done things before, which started up around in Crowley County, where it was generally a complete dry up, and we see what remains of that, and then all of the water leaves, never to come back. Under this new plan, their intent is to keep the farms operating, even when it's in one of those 3 years. They plan to try to utilize a crop that doesn't need direct irrigation, or to find a way to just keep the farmland active and no loss of jobs, no loss of tax revenue, etc. One of the things with this idea, though, is you can only utilize this type of water plan for 3 consecutive 10-year blocks. So they're able to do that for 30 years with no problem. This doesn't have to go to water court to be approved because it's a interruptible water supply. If it was a complete bind dry, it would have to go before water court, and that would be, of course, a huge thing. Everybody down in this area would contest against this move. So what does that leave us now? Well, what Aurora is doing is they're trying to utilize an earlier intergovernmental agreement that they have with the Southeast Colorado Water Conservancy District. They entered into this IGA back in about 2003, and they did so, again, at that time to avert a lot of litigation from basically every water user in the Arkansas Valley, from all the way up at Buena Vista, probably all the way to the state line. So in utilizing this IGA, they're now going to use Frying Pan Arkansas infrastructure to trade their water up to Twin Lakes, where it would be, again, released into the Arkansas River. But further up the stream, there is a specific transfer gate that is part of a project that was built by Aurora in Colorado Springs. So the intent of the Frying Pan Arkansas project was to bring Western Slope water to the residents of the Arkansas Valley. And as we're now seeing, as every taxpayer who is in the Arkansas Valley helped pay for this and fund this project, you now have your northern Colorado cities are looking to utilize this as a means for them to transfer water that should be here, either if it's coming through the Fry Ark project or if it's native waters itself, and move it out of the valley. And once that begins to occur, that water will never come back. The Arkansas River is already a heavily overallocated water system. That basically means that for every gallon that's coming down the Arkansas River, there's probably about 1.2 to 1.3 people who have already asked for that particular gallon of water. So if we start to see more and more through other large municipalities who have the money and the influence to come down, buy farms, and begin transferring this water out of our basin, where will that leave La Junta, our fellow communities, our fellow ag partners in the future? So by passing this resolution, it's showing that we're in partnership with the Southeast Conservancy District, believing that Aurora very well is in violation of that earlier agreement. But more importantly, I believe we're beginning to start a foundation to where as future passes, we can begin to look at the greater need to pass state resolutions, state law, that will prohibit the future transfer of water out of our basin to any other basin in the state, specifically to your larger communities up north and along the Front Range. I could guarantee you that if La Junta somehow had the opportunity to buy a North Platte water right and transfer it down here, they of course would step up and say, no, 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 we have a greater need for that up in our region. Well, we have a greater need for the water down here in our valley than Aurora does up there.
Does anyone have any questions for Tom?
The question of who owns the water outright will impact us, because we were told that even though we have water rights or can access that water, are we told that they actually own the water, they can take project water from us? And I know that's not, it's a different issue, but same entity that now we would be in support of a resolution of?
Any water that Aurora is able to take, if it is project water, would have been water previously allocated to those farms through the Frying Pan Arkansas agreements. All land down here has specific percentages that they're allocated, let it be municipal, agriculture, etc. So another main difference between this is the Frying Pan Arkansas project was a federally funded program that was paid for, of course, by all of us here in the valley, from our grandfathers all the way up. When Aurora enjoined into needing to utilize the Frying Pan project, yes, through that IGA, they agreed to pay $25 million over 40 years, of which they have currently paid $11 million. So they are paying to it, but they're paying, I believe, for a utilization of a project and of water that was not that project's intent.
Any other questions for Mr. Seba?
No, thank you for your explanation.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution concerning the Southeastern Colorado Water Conservancy District and Aurora's compliance with the October 2003 intergovernmental agreement.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think if anybody can admit they know anything about water and water law in Colorado, it's that they don't know enough. And I think that the 2003 agreement was hammered out with a lot of stakeholders at the table, and a lot of hard work was done, and I absolutely agree with how this is worded, and I agree with the intent of it, that it's for us to say, yes, we still believe in the cooperative governance that was behind the original document, and that's why it's important for us as a city council way down on the rungs of who really has a say in this. I do believe in the cooperative governance that was behind it, and that's why I'll be supporting it.
How much do we own in Catlin, Tom?
Not much, because it's a really expensive and very senior water right. I think the city of La Junta owns, it's in the neck of the woods of 35 shares.
Thank you. All right, any other discussion? If I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. All right, Mrs. Harris.
Next is a resolution authorizing the sale of real property at 1212 Adams Avenue.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the sale of real property at 1212 Adams Avenue.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. Was there any appraisers or appraisals done on that lot?
No.
there? That-
No, what we did is we started the process after Damon a couple meetings ago or a while back when we started talking about the properties. I worked closely with Jen, the purchasing agent or purchasing department, and we pulled the last few years of taxes on it and the property value. And then I went and looked with engineering at the size of the lot, and it's very small. Even to build on that lot right now, it would be very hard to meet the setbacks. So we came up with an adjusted price of $1,900, put that at his bid, and it did come back. We got one bid on that lot for $1,901. So we did put it out through the procedure, but we didn't see a need because the size of it is so small. And the city had it for quite a while, and if we started putting money on what we were using to maintain the lot, we're gonna be losing money in the next year or so on it.
I appreciate your due diligence in researching that, and I was going along with what Damon had stated too, is that, our fee schedules need to be brought up and when we're gonna be selling out land like that.
Right, and that's what we did take into consideration is, because since the city owned it, we had to take care of it, so what was it costing in manpower and equipment to maintain it? So we figured $1,900, it would put it above what the cost was over the last 2 years, at least a little bit. I wouldn't say we made a big adjustment, but we didn't see a need to bring an appraiser in on this one.
Okay, well, thank you for your due diligence
bet.
in researching that.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Any other discussion?
I have a question about the process. The last several, we always vote on it after the buyer has come forth. It seems like it'd make more sense if the city council voted to authorize that we're selling it and we were aware of what the floor is or what the it seems like city council is coming in at the wrong spot on these authorizations. It seems odd that we're approving it once the buyer has already been finalized, because I think it'd be very difficult for a council to ever vote no. I think it makes more sense for a council to authorize the sale of the property in general and then let the staff do the process to dispense of the property.
Well, I believe this is an offer and we can not approve it.
Oh,
We
not,
choose to.
I'm sorry, this is a process question for going forward. This time, yeah, but this is the process we've got. But I'm just asking, in the future, it seems like it would make more sense.
I think the question is just, as Damon has explained, we have the opportunity to review it now, but if we were to wait to put it forward first, I think what you're suggesting is put it forward first, saying, are we willing to resolve that it is surplus property and so on, and then bring it again when we have the bids?
Or does the council have to approve it once we have a buyer, or can the council just approve that it's surplus property and then let the staff do the sale of it? Like, I don't think the city council needs to, I just think we're interjecting at the wrong spot in the process.
So are you wanting us to look at moving that process up to where when it is time for sale, we bring it to you first before we put it out to bid?
Yeah, well, and
To give us the okay?
yeah, I think it's a bigger question of surplus property in the city. I don't think that, I don't think we have a good grip on what the inventory is of surplus property in the city in general, and I feel like it comes in drip, drip, drip at the very end of the process instead of it being a more intentional, thoughtful process by the city council of how we are looking at our surplus property in the city. So I intend to vote yes on this resolution. I'm just suggesting that it would make more sense for a governing body to be at a different point in the conversation.
And we've actually discussed this. We discussed that process before this meeting because specifically we were saying if in fact the sale is done, is that when we should bring it before the city, or should we decide that it's surplus property? I think what you're saying is it seems like it's generally known that it's surplus property, but that the council would want to acknowledge that it's going to be sold and maybe even have a say, if I'm hearing you correctly, maybe have a say in that floor price, as Ms. Ochoa was explaining about seeking to make sure that we have a price that we agree on. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. I think that it makes more sense to have our input at that stage in the process. It also would make it the opportunity that there is a piece of surplus land or a building or whatever the city is, that it would go through a public process. And I know it's already advertised. I know that we have a process, but I think that this is a more transparent process for the city dealing with surplus property.
How would it coming to us first to go over it be more transparent than what it is when they're putting it out there for a bid?
Because they don't put it out for a bid on Facebook Live or on Seco News. It's not discussed in a public forum that there's surplus property that the city is offering up. It's not recorded in minutes. It's not recorded in a place that provides for a public record. I mean, we've tried to establish before. It's very difficult after the fact to find out how and when things were offered. So I think it's more transparent and it gives more people an opportunity to know. And if it's city property, it belongs to the people of La Junta. It doesn't belong to us, and I think it gives them a chance to be part of the process.
I think it gives the opportunity for more people that are interested in purchasing the land. I mean, I don't know if we could it could be coming to us twice.
I think
Maybe just doing it on a social media platform would be a way to resolve it.
It sounds like the issue on the table isn't this particular matter, but hearing the interest, I would offer that I will take a look at it, talk with folks, understand what we have been doing so that I can make a better description of what we've been doing and what the alternative would look like at the next meeting, if that's something that would be helpful.
Yeah, and on some of that land too, there's processes going on some of those individual plots and things of, have we got the letters back, have we given enough notice, all that stuff. So, I mean, there's an idea of the property we own, but we don't usually have them all, like for the next month's meeting I have 4 available. Usually it depends on where the processes fall and things like that. So that's some of it as well, but we can work together.
Yeah, I feel like it's a staff timing issue. It's not something that we would need to have a resolution on, or we would need to decide on the process. That makes more sense to me.
I think that what she's getting at too is that we, as a council, find out about it at the earliest when there's a public notice on it, so we don't know about it previous to that, and then we're making the decision once the money's there, but we could still not approve it,
Right.
and the sale wouldn't go through.
So a suggestion, would that be maybe when we do have some come up that we know we're going to put out for bid, myself or whoever's sitting here brings that to the council and, hey, this month I'm going to have 2 or 3 properties go out for bid. And then people can look at them, or we can get that process going. And then after and then fall back to how we're doing it now. Would that be a process possible?
Do we have to vote on it twice? If we vote to say, yes, it's surplus property, sell it, do we have to vote to accept the sale?
I don't think you have to have two different okays. If you've okayed the price, especially if it's an auction and you're okaying the base price, then of course if it were to go higher, there would be no reason. But one issue that we've discussed is it may come again before the council as a courtesy to make you aware of what we did do with the property. So some of this that we're doing is partially just in an attempt to be transparent. It may just not be the process that is modern or that works as well as it could. Because there's still a place within the steps where the council approves. But if you're suggesting we do that earlier, it sounds like that's something we can look at.
I think it's a worthwhile conversation, but I think the conversation has gone too far afield for the matter at hand, so I would call for the question.
All right. With that, I'll ask for your vote. That passes unanimously. All right. Mrs. Harris, your property.
Long one tonight. Okay, this is the first reading of, the title is An Ordinance of the City of La Junta amending Ordinance number 1627, which is entitled An Ordinance Concerning Appliance Disposal of Goods and Other Furniture Items.
I'll make the motion to consider on first reading an ordinance of the City of La Junta amending ordinance number 1627, an ordinance concerning appliance disposal of goods and other furniture items by title.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have one, I have a suggestion. In order to make what we're passing so it is consistent with the Colorado statutes, the Colorado revised statutes, I would move to amend the title to be unlawful to discard or abandon ice boxes or motor vehicles and similar items instead of the title that is in our packet.
I may ask for clarification. We do have a title of the ordinance, but then there is a title of the section.
Sorry, you're correct. Change the title of the section because it's the wording in the section. I think that is confusing. So the section as it reads now is section 8.08.045, abandoned white goods. And I think it's unclear what white goods means. So I would propose amending the title of the section to unlawful to discard or abandon ice boxes or motor vehicles and similar items.
White goods, my understanding, is like television.
It is, although there's a somewhat elastic description of white goods, and then there's also small appliances that are sometimes in archaic language, they're referred to as brown goods, but I don't know why either of those words is still in our book if we might, if otherwise we don't have definitions that make them more workable.
So wouldn't we need a motion for that amendment?
I made the motion for the
But we're
amendment.
already in discussion for your previous.
Well, it's amending the motion.
Okay.
So we have to vote on the amendment to the motion, and then we would vote on the motion.
I think that is right.
If there's a second. Is there a second to her amendment?
Second.
I have a second. Now, do we have discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll ask for your vote on the amendment.
This is the amendment.
This is on the amendment, not. That passes unanimously. Now back to the discussion of the previous motion. else to add on that?
Just shout out, is Gary's here. Shout out to Gary. He's the one that noticed that this was not proper, how we had it listed in our public ordinances. So it's something that I think makes it more clear, and as we would see and discuss in other issues that may be coming for the council, I think it will be helpful for us to have a more clean and complete section. So thank you, Gary.
So that would be something that you would have to go back to recreate, like the reading on it, and then bring back for us to vote on?
We would have to change the title and have a first reading with the other title, is what I understand.
All right, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. I think you're done, Mrs. Harris. Committee and board reports. Any committee and board reports?
I have a utility board report. Just cut straight to the chase. At the last utility board meeting, the board unanimously agreed to raise the water rate. So if your bill now reflects, and I guess just an example of this, at the current rate for a 3/4 inch line at $10.50, that rate will now be going up to $12. And it will be doing so accordingly to the size of the line and the amount of commodity used. And we're also adopting, I believe, a 3-tier system. Tier 1 being 0 to 30,000 gallons. Tier 2 would be 30,000 plus. And Tier 3 would be 60,000 gallons, which is a very high-end user. That's getting to swimming pool type specifications there. Now, this decision wasn't made arbitrarily. There was a lot of conversation, a special meeting. We took into consideration the JK study, which recommended water rate increases or increases in some of our, what you pay for over the next 3 years. This, like I said, it's equivalent to about a 10.5% increase in there. And like I said, it wasn't done arbitrarily. The cost of goods and services is going up. The cost of the commodity is going to go up, and commodity being water. We are being faced as a community, as a city, with an aging infrastructure. From the 1st of July of 2023 to April 30th of this year, there was 15 breaks, and Mr. Seba put this together, and that was a cost to the city of $143,703.89. Frankly speaking, it's hard to come by. Water department doesn't have that much money, so we are basically paying for an aging infrastructure, and as it ages out, it's either going to have to be replaced or repaired. And even we are getting to the point now that some repairs are so difficult that, worst case scenario, if you have a line break in front of your house and they go to put a compression band on there to stop the leak and cover it up, now just compressing that pipe will cause that pipe to fail. So that's where our infrastructure is below us. It's an outdated system, and we're not even starting to talk about the cost of rules and regulations that we have to comply with for Department of Health rules regarding PFAS. Everything is going to cost money. The cost of compliance, the cost of maintaining our water infrastructure. They just replaced the SCADA system, which cost money, and when they start talking about actuators and flow tubes, they're not in the hundreds of dollars, they are in the thousands of dollars, and it's mind-boggling. And that's the why. We are faced with this. We have the looming decision of the Arkansas Valley Conduit, which was brought up in short measure by Mr. Seba. Whether we are in and out, whether we are in or out with the conduit is going to cost money. It's going to cost us to buy into it. If we decide not to get involved with the conduit, we are going to be tasked with the things that we have to do to provide a sustainable and safe drinking water supplies to the communities that we serve and the citizens that we serve. So again, and it doesn't end there. The utility board is going to have to go right back into discussion in considering water rate increases for next year. So I'm just gonna get out in front of that. So I'm just gonna keep going with the utility board report with that. I know that's not pleasant news, but
Before you go on to that though, Paul, just because I have been asked, and even tonight we were asked, this has nothing to do with the 1% sales tax, okay? That 1% sales tax all went to the general fund. That had nothing to do with our enterprise funds. Water is an enterprise fund. So I know no one likes getting rate increases, but when you say something like, well, why did we do a rate increase when we just passed the 1% sales tax? They're two separate things. You cannot use that 1% to go into an enterprise fund, the water fund, or anything like that. So I want that clear for everybody watching in the audience and at home. They are two separate things. So that passing that 1% did not help our water fund. It did not help our electric fund. It did not help any of our enterprise funds.
And if you don't mind if I add on, Mr. Mayor, those who don't know, on the enterprise funds, they cannot finish the budget year in the negative. It's against state law to have them finish. And you cannot use the general fund money to balance that out to where you may have to borrow money from one enterprise fund to another, but that has to be paid back. So that's one thing that we were looking at as well, was making sure that we balance the budget in the positive on all of our enterprise funds without being able to use, and we can't use, the general fund as stated earlier. So I just wanted to make sure that we're all clear on that as well. We got to meet those state regulations.
Sorry, Paul, I just want to...
No, there's a lot. Might remind them we've lost about 600,000 in the last two years.
I think you just did. If you didn't hear it, Gary, we just lost about 600,000 in the last 2 years. So it's, yeah. So each year of $600,000. And that's not mismanagement. That is just the cost of doing business in today's world. Moving on to the electric department. Now we talked about. I just talked about the aging infrastructure below us. Now we have an aging infrastructure above us. When Mr. Arguello made a pretty profound statement. He says the wind finds our weak poles. So when we get these wind events, these strong winds and they're breaking poles, that's how we're finding them. That's how we're finding them. Now I'm not saying there's going to be an increase with that, but I'm just letting you know where we are as far as infrastructure in the city of Lehigh. So, and also from Mr. Arguello, I know there was a blackout during one of the last big wind events. Now if there's winds in excess of 35 miles an hour, they're not going to get up in the bucket truck until those winds subside to at least 35 miles an hour and below. If there's any rain in conjunction with that wind, they're not going to get there. But they are at the problem site at that time. Now, a bit of good news, Kaylee Armendariz was the winner of the Lahaina Electric Department's and Art Scholarship. So, congratulations to her.
Yes, congratulations.
I'm trying to buffer her good that. I'm not done. For those people with the concern about the pumps at First and Bradish, they are both on manual now. When they opened that up, when SPT went in there and started working on them, they were both in pretty bad shape. They had to order more parts. And starting, I think, a week from this coming Monday or Tuesday, since there's a holiday, they will be working on it again. Hopefully within 2 weeks after that, those pumps will be on automatic. Okay, now moving on to streets. Again, if you drive around Lahaina, you're going to find a pothole or two. But this is concentrating on the 1400 block of Bradish
And Grace.
and 1400 block of Grace and the 1600 block. What they're starting to do is go in there and see, if you've driven that, there's some pretty massive cracks. I mean, I measured one, and I think it was 4.5 inches in between. So what they're doing is going 2 feet on either side, removing that out, and talking to Martin, our city engineer. They were hoping to find that at least there would be a base under that. There is not. So what they're going to have to do is add a base, fill the crack, and then pave over it. And that's how we're going to do away with all those cracks out there. So the city's working hard in all aspects of our infrastructure. The utility board's doing what we do. And hopefully we can do enough, because this doesn't matter about the past, how we got here. We have to look about going forward into the future of this city. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. And just so people know, on the 35 on the electric, it's not just because the bucket truck will move, it's because the trees next to them can blow at 35 and fall onto them while they're working. So we thank all of our linemen and our water crew who go out on weekends and bad weather just to be ready to go up there to get your guys' power back on and get your water fixed. If you see something that doesn't look right, please say something. My wife, we came home from pickleball the other night, and she seen a ton of water running down San Juan. She called Megan, and they came out and they got it fixed, but the people had no idea that they were losing a lot of water behind their house. So make sure you guys say something. The other thing with the utility thing that I want to mention too is that JK study came out last year, correct? But we've been working on it longer. And there's going to be more increases coming down. Whether it's water, wastewater, even electric. So it's done in order to get us to where we need to be. We don't want the wind testing our poles. We want to play offense on a lot of things, whether it's our utility lines, whether it's our water in town. We want to be able to play offense, but we can't right now. We have to be so reactive, and we're at the mercy of any break. When we did our SCADA system, that's when we had our big leak on Adams. Is that right in the middle of that? Then that also plays with Chief Davidson and fires if we don't have our water. So it's not done to make a ton of money. It's done to survive at this point. So that's what we're doing right now.
Absolutely. And tomorrow they'll be posting the water rate increase on Facebook, so it'll look like this. Gary pointed out an error that's been corrected.
Not on this one. This one's right. You all right?
The one that I have should be right.
Yes, the one that you do, yes.
Okay, yeah, the first one was.
Yes.
This one is, okay. And another thing, we could use the public's help. If you see a septic truck dumping directly into a manhole, that is an illegal dump. That creates a stress on our situation. It is a problem for us. So as a citizen, if you see a septic truck dumping into an illegal manhole, haul it in. I'm not asking anybody to go and make contact with that driver or those people doing it. Or if you know of anybody dumping into a grease trap that they shouldn't be doing, or it's like I said, if it doesn't look right, like the mayor said, say something. So we can address those issues as well. So I think that's almost everything.
Any other committee and board reports? No, Senior?
No, I'd like to make an amendment to something I stated. On the Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday lunches are still going to be occurring at the senior center. The breakfasts will not. The covered dish, which is every third Thursday, will no longer be occurring, correct? Is that right?
So just for the summer.
Just for the summer.
Yeah, and then it goes back in the fall.
And in the fall they'll return. So I just wanted to make that, even though there's not a senior center meeting till next week. Or the following week. All right.
Any other committee and board reports? All right, moving on. Interim city manager comments.
Well, things have been going good. A few things that I wanted to kind of put out there. I was advised today that the water department started on the new water line project over to the Brick and Tile Park. As they're going to be working over there for the next little bit, hopefully not get called off for breaks or anything like that, but that's in the works, so you'll see some work going on over there, getting things prepped up so we can get the water system over there ready for upcoming grass and being able to use a couple hydrants to regular water hydrants to wash things off and clean things and such. So that's going to be starting today.
That's part of the grant, too.
That is part of the grant. That is funded all through the grant. So all we're doing is the manpower side of it. So the airport, they are almost finished putting in the new navigation aid project. And then what that does is assist pilots coming in to land and stuff. And once that is up and finished, then the FAA will come in and recertify all that, and we'll be right back up to top notch out at the airport. So that's kind of a big project that Bill Jackson and his guys have been working on out there. So that's kind of a big deal. Got to have that proper equipment to land planes instead of guessing, I guess. As everybody might have seen, or if you haven't seen yet, the bridge over the Aurora at 3rd and Adams, between 3rd and Adams and 3rd and Cooper, they started that project today. So that bridge is shut down right now. They did get the top surface ripped down today, and TLN will be assessing the concrete underneath it and get ready to lay a waterproofing membrane before they go back in and asphalt it. So that's gonna be able to give us hopefully another 15 to 20 years lifespan on that bridge, so we're not like we are on the other bridge across town trying to figure out how we're going to get that replaced one of these days. So hopefully they're not at the same time, but this is going to buy us some time. The good thing is our street crew and them are able to do a majority of that project. Their goal right now is to be done in 2 weeks, but hopefully sooner. So if it opens up sooner, great, but we're not going to give a date of that yet, but 2 weeks at the most. And then also be working on the project over there at over on Grayson and Bradish. But in turn too, they got to remember we can only asphalt and lay pavement at certain times during the week. They only make it one time a week, so they have to build projects around that. So that's what is going to be taking a little bit over there on Bradish and Grace as well. Is not only the asphalt, but making sure people aren't parking in the areas when they're trying to do work and such. So just kind of keep that in mind over at 3rd and Adams. You might have seen around town too some new trash cans starting to pop up. This is kind of I'm kind of stealing away from the utility board a little bit, but Martin ordered a bunch of new trash cans, and they're black and orange to kind of show some school colors. So as those are starting to be replaced or new services are put in, you'll start seeing some black and orange ones around town. And I think I've seen probably a dozen or so far in different places, and they look pretty snazzy, I gotta say.
So it's
the residential trash cans. So the wheel with the wheels on it, it's those.
because mine are in really bad shape.
So you can get a hold of Martin and see what they say. But I tell you what, the new ones look pretty snazzy, and go Tigers.
I've seen Rocky Fords and I like it.
They're red and yellow ones. They stick out and you can really see them. So that was all on the sanitation department. So kudos to them.
Cool.
Other than that, summer programs are going. Pool's getting ready to kick off. I know they have a big opening next week, a big shindig with all kinds of stuff going on their first day, and they got all their part-time lifeguards hired, putting them through some training early next week, so they're ready to go. So that's where we're at. Everything's going pretty good.
You want to mention Starburst real quick?
Oh yes, we did receive notification that the city of La Junta received the Starburst Award through the Colorado Lottery for the Brick and Tile Park. This is kind of a big deal because it's just not handed out. It has to meet certain criteria. And this Thursday, the Colorado Lottery and them are going to come down, and they're going to be filming a little video about the Brick and Tile Park. And I believe it's going to be about 8 o'clock or 8:15 in the morning. They're encouraging families and kids to be there at the park, to be hanging out, doing things. They're also going to be interviewing the past city manager, Rick Klein, and all his efforts that he did to help get that park. And then I believe Brock Kinkhouse is going to be doing some talking about the park as well, since he is the Parks and Recreation Director. So I think it's going to be a great thing. They're going to put a video together and really get that out for us. So it's a great award to get through Colorado Lottery for this, and it's been a very, very long time since we've gotten one before. So.
Did they select it just on their own, or was something submitted?
Some information was given, but then with the grant that was submitted and everything, I believe that kind of helped trigger it. And but they saw it, and we had a conference call last week, and they're going to do this this coming Thursday.
Awesome.
So
Great job.
yeah, thanks.
I have a question.
Sure.
Did you mention the intersection by Carson down there by Twisted Steel and Safeway? What's going on with that?
They are going to be working on that here as soon as they get these other projects.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to finish that one up and a couple more in that area.
Okay.
Again, we've got these other two big projects, a painting project downtown, which that won't take the entire crew, but that is on their radar.
Okay.
And again, it'll be on when they get asphalt and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
No, good job to the street crew, because it started on Carson and doing this, from 5th down to 2nd. They did that all on their own. That was all in-house work.
Yep.
And then going over to Bradish and Grace and doing that, and now the bridge.
Yep.
That's going to be really good for them to get that experience under their belts and keep
And-
going from here on out.
And the other thing with those pumps, as Paul was talking about earlier, being automatic, they're going to add floats to those so it monitors the water. They're not going to change their process, so if it does we do get heavy rains, they are automatically going to respond down there and make sure they're going. They're not just going to rely on
No
it.
trust.
So try to get that, making sure that's going. And they're also looking at maybe having maintenance done once a year. That's what kind of triggered it this year, of having this company come in, do maintenance on those every single year to keep everything up and running. And then we're looking at maybe putting a carport type structure over the big pump to kind of help protect it from the weather, but still make it functional. We're going to have to put that out to bid, of course, and everything, but we're still working on that, trying to make sure we can fit it into budget and not have to wait till next year.
A lot going on.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing a great job. All the departments are.
You guys are busy. Yeah. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
All right. Any governing body comments?
I do. I'd like to give a shout out to Mr. Jerry Gonzalez. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Jerry's painting scholarship. He started it 7 years ago for the Gisharis, but he's added some of his customers, children and grandchildren to it. They impact the whole valley, so it's students from throughout the whole valley. This year they had a student from Eads, Fowler, and Chirac, and then also several from Lahana. They awarded 18 kids with scholarships ranging from 300 to 500. And I just think that's incredible for one person in this community to get something like this going. So congratulations, Mr. Jerry Gonzalez, and thank you for investing in our future.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Any other governing body comments? Did you guys have a meeting?
Yeah, we did. So for the second time, we have met down in the Brick and Tile Park, Ward 3, Lisa and I, and it seems like it's working well, and we thought for the foreseeable future we would go forward with continuing to meet on the second Mondays at 6 p.m. because we get to Monday and we don't know what to do. We don't have city council, so we're going to continue to have Ward 3 listening events at the Brick and Tile Park until maybe it gets too hot, and then
And the
we'll move
mosquitoes
somewhere
weren't
else.
that bad.
Yeah, mosquitoes weren't bad. We solved that problem, so
You better knock on that dinosaur.
yeah, exactly. And do you want to add anything to?
No, I think, you know, if anyone's helpful in giving us suggestions to get more people to come and voice their concerns. I know not everyone has availability everyone else has a lot of things going on, so if there's anything that they can recommend, we can do.
Yeah, I think we're open to meeting another time too. If everybody who's available at 6 o'clock on the second Monday of the month has had their access and they're done with us, we're more than happy to move to a different location and time to be more accessible, I believe.
Any other governing body comments?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
She does.
I don't know what the meeting is about.
So we're just doing a ward listening tour because the council as a whole, with having restrictions on if 3 or more of us are somewhere, it has to be a public notice. So this is just an opportunity for folks who are in Ward 3 to come and meet with Lisa and I in a more informal way. Oh, the Brick and Tile Park. Under a pavilion. We've moved. We did the pavilion closer to the Aurora the first time, and there were a lot of mosquitoes. So then we moved the other direction, and it was better.
Yeah.
But it's a fabulous park. It's not so big that you can't find us if you don't know where to look. So we're at the Brick and Tile Park.
Is it where the play equipment is?
On the playground. Yep.
On the playground?
Yeah, the pavilions that are adjacent to the playground, rather. We don't actually play on the playground.
Oh, we did.
The one time we did, so yeah, I guess I
Might be a
could.
temptation.
Yeah. You are welcome to come.
Thank you. Second Monday of
Yep.
the month.
6 p.m.
I'll try to write something about it and come down next time.
Okay. I have a picture I can give you too.
Todd, you want to mention your meeting coming up? Come all the way down. We can't hear you back here. And, you know, I think the Neighborhood Watch just helped out. Was it last week or, you know, the one
That
down?
is the 30th, next week.
30th or 31st?
Pretty sure the 30th, Senior Center.
At the senior center?
Yeah,
What
6
time?
p.m.
6 p.m.?
And that's the only one really we have going right now. The sheriff and I haven't planned any summer ones so far, but we will get some going.
But I was reading a Neighborhood Watch post on Facebook that they knew that there was something going on in their neighborhood over on Topeka, and they alerted authorities, and then they were all telling their neighbors to stay inside. So
Yes.
that one is working very well. So.
Yes, it is.
Is there a place and time?
Yes, it's at the Lahana Senior Center at 6 p.m. on May 30th.
Okay, same thing.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim.
You bet. Thank you.
I went on a water tour today. There's a lot of water talk tonight. But I went on a water tour today at the water treatment plant, and we got a tour by the crew there, the team. And there were three newer team members that gave us the tour, and they did a really good job. They have a lot of responsibility. They encourage tours at the water treatment plant, so for anyone that wants to go on a tour, the doors are open at any time to go tour it. And that was Raul, John, Casey, Megan, and Jan. We all met with them. We had this one didn't have him, but we had the Chancellor of UCCS come down and meet with us, and we also had, her name is Janet. I can't pronounce her last name though, but Jennifer. Jennifer is her name. She's the Chancellor.
So
Yeah, that's how you say it? Okay, thank you. And then Micah Espinoza, he's the Regional Program Manager of Outreach and Engagement for Southern Colorado. And Tony Salazar, the VP of Outreach and Engagement for the CU system. And we also met with Ty Winter, he's the Colorado State Representative for House District 47. We met with them at the Forest Service, Chandra and I, and the chamber, some members from the Chamber of Commerce, and they're gonna also meet tomorrow with the CEO of ABRMC and the president of Otero College, Dr. Zant. It was a good meeting. Thank you, Chandra.
Maureen, did you have one?
It's more of a question than a comment. Anyway, it's the website. So today is our 6-month anniversary of me joining the council, and I raised it as a concern 6 months ago. I feel like our website is our best tool to be transparent, and I feel like we're not living up to what the expectations are for a municipal website. And for example, you can't even find the agenda on the website. You can't find any of the minutes from 2024 on the website. The zoning code that was discussed 2 weeks ago, we did get, the council was sent a PDF of it, but it is still not available on the website. When you go to where it should give information about a zoning ordinance, it says it's under revision. I find it to be very concerning. And I said something 6 months ago. I know there's a lot of things that have happened, but as a council, I just would hope that we all, that this is something we care about, because I think it's important to our whole community. So I was told a month ago to be patient, that I'd see something by the middle of May, and I haven't heard another word. So just wanting to know where we are. I was also told that we were given a grant to pay for a new website, and I'd like to know more about that grant. I'd like to know how much the grant was for. If there's a way to be more transparent about the process, and when we can expect to see a functional website.
Okay, I'm going to step in on that. Yes, I did tell you a month ago that we were going to hopefully have it up. We've run into some snags. We've been given an extension on the grant, gratefully, to be able to work on it some more. We do not have we have to go live, I believe, by the middle of July now. That's our extension. I'm not saying we're going to wait that long, but we are working on things very digitally. Everything will be up to code and meet ADA requirements on this new website, and that's where we're at with that. The grant, yes, it was a grant. I can't give you the exact amount because I don't have that information in front of me, but that's what's being taken care of. And then once the grant is up and running, the Triad Computer Services that we have our contract with for the city of Lahana for IT will be maintaining it for us. Since they're the computer gurus, we're not. So I'd rather have them take care of updating it, and anything that we need updated and things like that, we'll send them through a work ticket system and they'll get it updated. So that's our process that we're at right now. I don't disagree with you that it's a big tool. It's just sometimes I had to take care of some other things to get things done before I can get that done, but it will be done.
Is Triad Computer Services able to make edits to the current site, or do we have to wait until the new site goes live to make changes? Like, I'll
be honest, I don't have an answer to that. I can find out for you.
That'd be great. And what's the granting agency? Who did the grant? Who is giving the money to the city of Lahana to redo the website?
Get that information.
Okay, and I'd like to know how much it was for.
Yes, I'll get you all that information.
Okay, thank you very much.
And that was all done previous to Brad taking over too, so just so everyone at home knows, Brad was not involved in that grant process or how that got doled out, but he's now helping us fix the situation, so.
Thank you for that, Brad.
You're welcome.
All I had was that Jeremiah, I have two things, one from me and one from Jeremiah. Jeremiah said that the grass at Tippy Martinez looks great and that he will be doing his walking tour.
Pause
and Politics on Thursday evening. So if you're in Ward 2, if he needs a walking partner, maybe Shan will join him too. But that'll be Thursday evening. The only things I had were I participated in Clean Valley Recycling's business after hours. There was a recycling sorting contest with the mayor of Rocky Ford. I'm happy to announce that I was, victorious in that mayor's challenge right there.
Did you get a video?
Oh, there's lots of videos.
There's a Facebook Live. You can watch it.
We beat him in timely fashion. It was.
We just released the extended cut today.
Was Dwayne blindfolded? Is that why he lost?
When he in his training, we believe he lost because he didn't wear his blindfold during the competition.
I don't think of how to be. And then the other thing is we did have a Arbor Day celebration at Brick and Tile Park. Normally we do it at the primary school. This year we did it at Brick and Tile Park because we had a tree donated by former councilwoman Elaine McIntyre, and that tree was dedicated to, I almost said in memory of, dedicated to Rick Klein. And so Rick showed up for the dedication, and we had the first grade class out there, and they enjoyed it. I asked them a bunch of different questions. I asked them if they knew what Arbor Day was, and one kid said, "It's when you grow up and you have to work." I said, "No, that's Labor Day." It's always a great time to do the Arbor Day celebration, so that was great. So that is all I have. With that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming out tonight.